Outer Worlds was announced last week at the Game Awards, and it's Obsidian's brand new big RPG. If you don't know who Obsidian are, let me just walk you down memory lane. Back in the 90s, a studio called Interplay Entertainment created a video game called Fallout. You've probably never heard of it. Interplay and later Black Isle Studios developed the first and second Fallout games. They were an incredibly passionate team and created games that people still love to this day. In the early 2000s, however, Interplay went bankrupt and they had to sell Fallout. Black Isle and the dev team had no say because Interplay owned the brand, and so it was snatched away from them and sold to the highest bidder. Who was the highest bidder? It was Todd Howard. Not specifically him, that was a meme. It was like Bethesda Game Studios. But could you imagine Todd Howard just there, like on his own? Yeah, I'll give you $1 million for that wasteland game. You don't think I can afford it? You think I'm a joker? Pulls out a case filled with cash and turns to the guys, looks them dead in the eye, cracks a smile and says, "Who's laughing now?" Anyway, Bethesda released the highly successful Fallout 3 in 2008. Although it was very different from the Fallout games of the past, it was still very successful, and a lot of people loved it, myself included. Leonard Boyarsky, the art director of the original Fallout, had this to say on Bethesda acquiring the rights. "To be perfectly honest, I was extremely disappointed that we did not get a chance to make the next Fallout game. This has nothing to do with Bethesda, it's just that we've always felt that Fallout was ours, and it was just a technicality that Interplay happened to own it. It sort of felt as if our child had been sold to the highest bidder, and we just had to sit by and watch. Since I have absolutely no idea what their plans are, I can't comment on whether I think they're going in the right direction with it or not." But regardless of what the old team felt, Bethesda were going ahead with their vision of Fallout. Bethesda commissioned a sequel to Fallout 3, but with everybody already working on the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, they reached out to, you guessed it, I don't know why I did that, it's not a fucking game show, Obsidian Entertainment! Now, Obsidian was made up of former developers from Black Isle Studios, meaning that the original developers of Fallout and Fallout 2 were working on Fallout New Vegas. And to everyone's shock, Fallout New Vegas was a complete fucking success, and everybody loved it. It's the most popular Fallout. So what does that tell you? Obsidian, the guys who made the old games, know how to make better Fallout games than Bethesda. So naturally, Bethesda never worked with them again and instead made Fallout 4. And everyone thought it was shit, except for that one guy that tells you it's actually the most Fallout game since Fallout, and it's not shit when it's shit. Bethesda Game Studios became heavily under fire after Fallout 4, and the most logical response would be to return to the drawing board, look at what makes Fallout, figure out which games did the best and bring aspects from all of them into one place, and develop a truly great RPG that everyone will love. So they released Fallout 76, a fully online world with no NPCs and a fucking plethora of classic Bethesda bugs. Again, pissing the fans off and leaving them thirsty for a true, old-school Fallout-style RPG experience. And that's where Obsidian comes in. You see, behind the scenes while Bethesda were having a fucking nightmare with the Fallout brand, Obsidian were quietly developing their own little game. When I say little, I don't mean little. It's not little. It's huge. And they announced it at exactly the right time, and they fucking knew it. At the Game Awards 2018, directors Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky took to the stage to announce their new RPG, and boy did they throw some shade at Bethesda. They even noted in the trailer this is the team behind the original Fallout and Fallout New Vegas, the one you liked a lot, not the bad one. Obsidian knows what they're doing marketing wise, and they're gonna run with it. They also have the clear talent to back that up. I can only see this hurting Bethesda more and more, and I'm not mad at that. I want to see Bethesda do better. I want to see them need to compete. For so long, they've basically owned the RPG genre, especially their style of RPG in Fallout and Elder Scrolls. To have another team, and not just that, but another competent team challenge Bethesda, this can only breed a healthy competition in the industry. Now, why has Outer Worlds captured my eye? For a start, it feels like the spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas took what Fallout was in Fallout 3 terms, and they thought, how do we make this not just better, but how do we make this our own? Of course, it looks very similar to Fallout 3 on the surface, but at the heart, it's not the same as something Bethesda would normally make. There's something about Fallout New Vegas that's very special. There's a certain spark to it that you don't find with a lot of games, and I think that's why it resonated with so many people. It feels like there's passion in it. It feels like there's this spark. And it looks like what they've done with the Outer Worlds is they've gone, well, we made Fallout New Vegas. We know people want Fallout New Vegas, but how can we take Fallout New Vegas and make it something else. Make it our own, and make it better. And that's what it looks like from the gameplay we've seen, from the trailer. It looks like there's passion in this. There's a spark that we saw in Fallout New Vegas, but now they completely are making their own game. Although I know they would love to own Fallout and be making Fallout, this has a lot of those vibes in it, but it also has that spark, that passion that we saw in New Vegas. And it looks like this is the spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas. And that's something I'm incredibly excited for. We know that Obsidian is a competent development team. We know what they're capable of and what they can do, and now without the constraints of Fallout, without the constraints of Bethesda, they can truly make the RPG they want to make, put in the features they want to put in, make it as Fallout or as not Fallout as they want, and add their own spin to it in the process. And I am so excited to see what they do with this. It looks like they've really made this game for the fans, because it's a AAA game that almost feels like it's being made by an indie type studio, but it's not. They've been in the industry for 25 years now, in bits and pieces. They're just not an EA, they're not a Ubisoft, they're not a Bethesda. And I think that's very special for a game like this, and for fans of Fallout. The other huge thing is that they're not constrained to the creation engine, and that's something I'm super excited for. This game isn't in the creation engine, and obviously it wouldn't be, but the thing is, Fallout New Vegas was constrained to the creation engine, or Gamebryo, I guess, but this game, Outer Worlds, although on the surface and from the gameplay, it looks like Fallout. It does look like Fallout, all the good things from Fallout, but it's like what Bethesda should have done with Fallout. This is what Fallout 4 should have played like and should have looked like. It shouldn't have been so similar and running on such an old engine that they've never decided to properly utilize. And so that's something I'm really excited for, because whenever I think of this game, I think, wow, it's going to be the Fallout that I love, the old school. When I say old school, I don't mean the 90s, I mean old school as in, the 2000 Fallout 3 New Vegas, you know what, don't hate me. But it's not just that. It's not just that Fallout 3 New Vegas Fallout style. It's also new. It's improved. It's not just reverting from Fallout 4 to a formula that worked. It's taking that formula that worked, but putting it in next gen. It's gonna be the Fallout game that Fallout fans have wanted since New Vegas. But the only difference is it's not Fallout. Now, a lot of people obviously will be like, well, it's not Fallout, is it? It's set in space, it's not set in a wasteland. But to me, Fallout was never the setting. Fallout was the genre, the tone, the ideals, the message. It was never being set in a wasteland that made Fallout. Obviously, you can't call a game Fallout unless there's a Fallout involved, but you know what I mean. The whole idea behind Fallout and that feel of Fallout was never necessarily, it was never because of the setting. It was always because of what the characters were like, what the message of the story was. That was always what made it Fallout to me. And it feels like this holds a lot of that, the whole player choice, the whole it's your adventure, it's your journey, the fact that the RPG elements feel deep and they feel they're going to be so much fun to play around with, the way that dialogue doesn't have a fucking voice over the top of it like it did in Fallout 4. It feels like a classic Bethesda RPG if Bethesda fucking gave a shit in 2018. The gunplay looks solid, the exploration looks fun, the dialogue looks in-depth, the RPG systems look fantastic, the world looks gorgeous and beautiful and seamless, and it has that sort of 50s vibe that Fallout had, but it's in space and it's different, and I absolutely love the aesthetic, I love the tone, and I love the direction they're going in with this game. I am so excited for this. I did not expect this at all, and I'm so excited to see exactly where it goes in the future. And finally, this can only mean good things for the future of Bethesda. Like I said before, Bethesda have pretty much owned this area of the market with Fallout and Skyrim. Elder Scrolls. Not just Skyrim. Fallout and I almost said it again! Fallout and Elder Scrolls have owned this section of the RPG market in terms of video games, and I think this could change it. Of course, we've had things like The Witcher, which has spawned a load of Witcher clones like Assassin's Creed and Horizon Zero Dawn, some good, some bad, but we've never had someone really try and compete with what Bethesda has been doing, with those Fallout-style games, with those Elder Scrolls-style games. The closest thing I think I've played ever to an Elder Scrolls is Kingdom Come Deliverance, and that did its own thing, and it did it very fucking well. This looks like the Fallout equivalent to what Kingdom Come Deliverance was to the Elder Scrolls, except maybe a little bit better. Maybe a lot better. And I'm really, really excited for that. And I think it can only mean that Bethesda will do better. Bethesda have to fucking push themselves. With Starfield coming out, which is going to be a Bethesda-style RPG in space, they've now got to compete with Outer Worlds, which is an RPG that's looking better than Bethesda's RPGs in space. If Bethesda can't compete with the Outer Worlds when they make Starfield, if it's running in the Creation Engine, if it feels like it's 5 years old when it comes out, they've got a problem. And that's really going to hurt them when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe Outer Worlds can push Bethesda in the right direction in terms of their engine, in terms of the games they make, in terms of their own direction, and stray them away from making things like Fallout 76, but maybe it won't. Only time will tell. But that doesn't change the fact Outer Worlds is probably going to be a superb game, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope it gets the recognition that it deserves. So let me know what you guys think about the Outer Worlds. Do you think that it could be a competitor to Fallout, or do you think it has no fucking chance? Or do you just not care at all? I find that hard to believe, that people would just not care about this game, but then maybe you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, in which case, I guess I can understand why you'd have that mindset.